ordinarily the UK taxes at a higher rate than the US. So if you're receiving, obviously it depends on the level of income, but the top rate of tax in the UK is 45 compared to 37 in the US, and the tax bandings in the US are a lot more generous than they are in the UK. In the UK, when you start to earn over £100,000, you're starting to lose your tax-free personal allowance. And then when you go over, I think 125, I think, then you start to pay 45% taxes. So ordinarily, when you compare the two systems, the UK taxes at a higher rate. So people are normally better off, even if they are living in California and paying a ridiculous amount of state taxes. Overall, you're still cheaper to live in the US from a tax perspective than it is in the UK.
And then from a financial planning perspective, something we see quite often is that we'll end up starting with the position of income taxes are going to be higher in the UK. So if you're living off of income from Social Security and state pension, and maybe you have flats and some investments, we will have to compare different scenarios where the income tax rate's higher when you're living in the UK. But then the second piece of that is going to be when you start adding in some of the things, especially in retirement, that we start thinking about, such as the cost of healthcare in the US and some of the cost of living, depending on the state that you're in. It does tend to come out much closer to in the wash. I've definitely heard people make the argument that have lived on both sides that the US is a great place to earn and be young and not have many health problems. And the UK is a great place to maybe go when you have a reduced income in retirement and you have much, much lower cost of healthcare that's associated with some of the things that come with growing older. So it's never completely as simple as a tax question. But the taxes are something that we have a little more certainty on. No one knows exactly what their cost of living is going to be, especially when it comes to unforeseeable healthcare costs. But I do find that doing it as scenarios, you typically find out the outcome is surprisingly similar because lower taxes in the US, but higher out-of-pocket expenses.